welcome to my channel, Jersey Shore Pondscapes videos. Today we're doing a video basically about what I consider to be bad pond designs, okay? We're going to talk about a bunch of things here, what to watch out for, what to try to avoid when you're designing and planning on, building your pond, what shapes may not be so good, okay? So let's jump right on in here. First of all, to me, the most important thing that we should have is a nice open body of water that is able to circulate, right, and be filtered properly. All right, an open body of water, and I'm not saying it has to be a big square or a big circle. It can definitely be a free-formed shape. Okay. We want to give it some character and make it look natural, but we don't want to really go to extremes, even though sometimes the area that you want to build the pond kind of lends itself to that. Now, for example, I had a client that wanted to build a pond off his patio, and his patio was kind of crazy shaped, and he had a sidewalk coming off one side. So he wanted to build this pond, and I'm actually going to kind of draw you a picture here of what that pond shape would have kind of been like. The pond would have kind of sort of been something like this. Okay, now he had a whole patio area over here, all right, that went off, and what his idea was to put a bridge across over here, all right, and he wanted this kind of crazy curve here because we were going to do a waterfall back in this area, okay, facing this way. The concept was pretty cool. I mean, it was a good idea, and the reason why he wanted to come down here is, like I said, his patio kind of lent itself this way. He had a sidewalk down here on the bottom, but the problem is with this whole area in here, okay, is all just stagnant dead water. We need to circulate that properly, and it just didn't make sense. It would have been a narrower section. It was only like 4.5 feet wide, from here to here, and it wasn't enough. Like, it just didn't do enough of anything to we couldn't go out here because he had landscape stuff and he didn't want to disturb. He had some nice trees. He had a big tree planted in here and stuff, so it was kind of crazy. Okay. The other issue here was that this big tree that was here in this side here, the roots, I couldn't get too close to that tree because I don't want to dig up dig into those roots and hurt the tree, and affect the stability of the tree as well. So it just wasn't a great design. In concept, it was a good idea, but in reality, it just didn't work. So what I had suggested to him and what we had ended up doing, the bridge was a nice effect. I mean, we kind of like the idea of the bridge. However, what we ended up doing was building a larger pond that kind of came around here and and opened up this whole area. And we still put his waterfall back here, okay? We still did the waterfall there. But we just opened it up and made it a nice big, area of water. And for him, he was able to, we did some stepping stones over here that kind of came around the pond and through the landscape and then came out into the yard. And it looked really nice. And just that open body of water from in his house, which was, just back here, you saw it. it was a nice big, nice open pond. Now the pond wasn't huge. I mean, it was a nice size. It was probably about 25 feet by 15. So it was a really nice pond. But I mean, say 25 here by, 15, this way. Whereas this old pond would have been crazy shaped, and I mean, like I said, this is only about 4 foot wide here. I mean, and it probably would have only been, 15 feet here by, 15 this way, but a crazy shape where half of it, there was no water. Okay. Sorry for all the scribbles here, but I'm just trying to prove my point. Now, the other issue with doing some of these crazy shapes is the use of the pond liner. Okay, it is very difficult to put a pond liner. Now, I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm saying it's difficult to put a pond liner into a pond that has some weird, crazy shape. Where am I drawing here? Where it kind of comes down and goes like this and comes up. Because you need to buy a piece of pond liner that's going to cover this entire square area, right? There's a lot of waste in that pond liner, all right? All this, right, is going to be extra waste. All this is going to be waste. This is going to be waste. The other issue is now putting this pond liner into this pond is going to be extremely difficult to keep out folds and wrinkles. Okay, because we need to bend and flex this pond liner in all different kind of crazy ways to contort to all these shapes of the pond. Here we only just roughly say we're 6 feet wide, right? That comes over here, we're 12 feet wide. It comes over here, we're 20 feet. So everything is getting bent and folded and kind of crazy. Okay, so keep in mind, how much liner are we buying that's going to be wasted? We're going to buy a piece of liner here, say that's, 30 feet wide, and our pond is only 6 foot there. But we need that 30 feet because we need to cover everything else in the pond. All right? Just something to think about, okay? Islands and peninsulas, like in the pond. Peninsulas are possible and are in fact pretty cool, providing that they're not too extreme. An island to me is a total waste. We'll get into that. Let's talk peninsulas first. So what am I saying by a peninsula? So let's say our pond liner, here we go. Our pond comes around, okay, and we want to put this peninsula in like this. Okay, maybe it's a nice thought because maybe we'll do a waterfall over here. Okay, it gets us out. I like the idea of it because it gets us out into the water, right? Here, right, we're surrounded by the water. If we come out and stand over here, it's a nice place to feed the fish because you come out and you got water and the fish all around you. It's a great idea. The problem is if it's too extreme, okay, again, our pond liner, all right, because our pond liner is square, right? And we have to realize now that pond liner has to come down, come in, come down the hole, come across the bottom of the pond, come up the side, come across the top, come back down, come back over, come back up, and come back over the top. It's rough. Again, we're going to have a ton of folds because look at all we have to do here, whereas here it's a straight run. All right, so let's say our pond is our hole here, right? We're coming up on the top. Let's say we have 2 feet of liner here. All right, let's say we're going 3 feet down. We're 7 feet across. We're going 3 feet back up, right? Maybe we're coming 5 feet across. Then we're going back down 3 feet. Then we're coming across 5 feet. Then we're going up 3 feet again, and we got 2 feet on the top. So now we're talking 5, 7, 12, 15, 20, 26, 31, 33 feet of liner here. Okay, over here, you know, we don't have to go down. We're coming over, say we got 2 feet here, we're going down 3 feet, we're coming up 3 feet, we got 2 feet extra here. I don't know what our distance is here, to be honest with you. So let's see, we got 7, 5, and 5, so we're at 17. So here we have 17, 20, 23, 25, we're at 27 feet. Okay, so you see we're different. We got different sizes here of the liner. Okay, so we kind of have all these folds with all this excess liner. Okay, we you know, we got 6 feet extra liner here. So kind of crazy to think about. All right. It makes it difficult. So a peninsula is good, but don't exaggerate it too much in the pond. The further we go out into the pond, all right, the more folds and creases and a waste of liner we're going to have. All right, it's definitely a little difficult to do. Now, if we want to get out there into the pond further, let's say, all right, here's our pond. We're going to give it a little peninsula, okay, something that comes around, you know, whatever, like this. That's kind of cool. That's not a problem, okay? But coming out into it like this is going to cause an issue. Now, the other thing is here, if we want to come into the pond like that, this much, let's leave the pond here. Let's put a dock or a deck or something in here where we can put two piers into the ground out here to support it, and we can build our deck over it. All right, this is a really cool idea because our pond liner is here. All right, and it's easy to do. Our fish can swim freely underneath, in and out with no problem. Okay, and it works better. All right, so consider that instead. Now, oops, what am I doing here? Okay, now the next thing I want to talk about quickly is an island. All right, an island is even worse than a peninsula. Okay, an island is a big mess, total mess. I have 2 clients that have islands in their ponds, and both of them have a big headache. Our pond, let's just freeform our pond here. Okay, freeform a pond. All right, and let's put an island in the middle. All right, and it may be a little bigger. Right, we'll go a little bigger here. Here's our island. All right. Now, again, the liner issue is insane. Okay, how are you going to get? You got a liner going straight across here, and now you got a liner that's got to go down, over, up, over the top, down, over, up. It's too much. We're going to have a million folds in this thing. Okay. Now, one of my clients has an island out in the pond. He had a beautiful tree planted out in the middle. It died. It got no water. Okay, there's no irrigation out there. So then his sprinkler guy, the irrigation guy, came out, and he runs a sprinkler line across through the pond into the through the water and out onto the island to put a sprinkler head there to water the tree. Okay. He waters the tree. All the weeds are growing like crazy now. Well, we actually put a new tree in. They put a new tree in because the old one died, so he put a new one in. And now, after a while, the weeds started growing like crazy in there. All right, can't use herbicide, can't use Roundup, can't kill it because all that chemical can get into the pond. So Right? Here we go. So now the landscape guys said, no problem. We're going to take out the mulch, we'll pull the weeds, and we'll put a fabric down with gravel, okay? So they came in, they pulled out all the weeds, everything, they cleaned it up, they put some fabric down, they put gravel down. The next time we had a big torrential rainstorm, a whole bunch of mud and dirt washed away from underneath the gravel and down into the pond, and the pond got all muddy. It's not good. Okay, another client of mine, all right, has a pond. I'm just going to use the same little diagram here and build on it. He has a beautiful Japanese lace leaf, cut leaf red maple on his island. It's a smaller pond, but he has this big maple growing out here, and it's really pretty, and it's growing, it's doing good. The problem is now, after a couple years, the maple got really big, all right? And all those leaves and all, in the fall, all drop right in the pond. We can't put a net over this because there's got this tree growing here now, okay? Now, the tree is totally out of scale with the pond. It's a small little pond. He's got this big maple tree growing in there now, and all the leaves drop in. So in the fall, when I want to put a net over the pond, we have to take our net and we have to, pull it over the whole pond, but I have to rip a hole or cut a big slice in the net here so that, we can put the net underneath the tree and then pull it. And then once the net's here, I got to go out here. I actually lay a big extension ladder out from the edge of the pond out to the island, and I got to climb on it, and then I got to get I got to stitch all that holes back together in the netting. Okay, okay. It's just not something I like, all right? I just don't see the point of putting an island in a pond. Give it a nice open body of water, okay? It's much better for your water flow, your circulation, your pumps, your filtration, everything. Your water will circulate around the pond much better. Your fish will swim around. They'll have plenty of space, okay? Especially like that first diagram I did with that little part of the pond that comes down under the bridge, and it's just a long, narrow dead end, basically. Why are your fish going to want to swim down that? It's just a dead end. There's nothing there. They're going to swim into a wall. Then they got to turn around and come back. They don't go down there. They want to swim in a nice open area, okay? All right. Next one. We're going to move right along here. A figure 8, okay? Very popular design. And with that figure 8, a lot of times we're putting a bridge over the middle. Great idea, okay? I have no problem with doing the figure 8 with a bridge over the middle. Just make sure that this area from here to here is open enough to allow that water circulation through. So at least 6 feet, 5 feet wide, okay, to allow that water flow to flow from this end down to this end, okay? Maybe have a skimmer or something over here, just a popular design. A waterfall down here, so your pump is pulling in from this area and is pumping around and returning here. So we're pulling our entire volume of water, right, and recirculating the whole pond. That's my best advice for that, to keep that area under your bridge wide enough for the fish to comfortably swim back and forth and water flow, okay? Now, one thing that I would say to avoid with your figure 8 is not to make one side a lot bigger than the other, all right? So basically we don't want to have a small section here and then a big section out here and then have our bridge go here, okay? Basically, what's going to happen is you're going to walk on this bridge and you're going to look at this big, nice, open body of water, and then you're going to turn around, there's going to be a puddle. It just doesn't do anything, okay? It's just, why, right? even if you did a little waterfall here or something, you know, to give it some attention, it's too close, it's too small. It's just not, to me, a good design, okay? For me, if I'm going to do something like this, all right, I would rather just open this up and make this, you know, bigger and larger. And instead of, you know, walking over a bridge here, right, through, you might as well just go like this and be in the backyard or wherever you are, okay? You know, because you're getting nothing out of that. So make it bigger, make it a pond, maybe do something creative in here, maybe make a bog garden in here, or you know, something, okay? Something else, just think about and consider, okay? Now, finally, the last thing I want to talk about is a design that I run into quite often that can be really bad. All right, and that is a nice pond that runs down a little stream to another pond. Okay, here's our stream. All right. The problem is with this, okay, and try to hear me out on this and understand this. Usually, what I see is a skimmer here on the bottom pond. A waterfall here on the top, and the pump pulls it out and returns it up to the top. The top pond overflows, flows down to the bottom, and, you know, recirculates, okay? The issue is, do not make the top pond bigger than the bottom pond. All right. Now, a lot of times these top ponds are bigger because we have our waterfalls there. So we're making a nice pond out of it. And the bottom pond is smaller because it's basically just like a catch basin to collect the water through the skimmer or pump, whatever, and send it back up to the top. The issue is, all right, and this is a real design flaw, okay? You really need to know this, because what happens is not good. With our top pond, okay, I'm going to give you a side view. Here's our pond. All right, here's our waterfalls up here, okay, and it's spilling in water down here. When we have our stream bed coming down, right, and it goes into the bottom pond down here, our water level needs to come above the level of the stream. Okay, here's the level of the stream. In order for our water to flow down that stream, all right, it has to come above, right, so that it then flows down, right, down here to the bottom. Now, if we have our pump, in here, okay? When we shut this pump off, all right, the pump is pumping back up to the top. When we shut that pump off, the water in the top pond is going to basically overflow. Well, right, it's going to keep overflowing because our water level in our pond here is above this level here, right, of our stream bed. So the water level in the pond is going to drain down to this level. Okay, so instead of being, bear with me here, I'm trying to do different colors. Instead of being up here, right, it's down here. All right, all that water is going to flow down to the bottom pond. Now, if your top pond is bigger, I'm just going to say you're going to have 250 gallons of water extra overflowing back down to the bottom. Can that bottom pond hold that extra 250 gallons? Well, if it's smaller than the top pond, I'll tell you right now, there's no way. Okay? And what tends to happen is all that water comes down here and it overflows. and it goes out all over the yard, okay? It's all over the place. Now, herein lies another problem, okay? Not only are we flooding out the bottom pond, all right? When we go to start that pump back up again, we don't have enough water in that bottom pond to pump back up to the top to fill up the top pond to flow back down again. So the pump on the bottom is going to be sucking air. It's not going to have enough water. So now we have to put a garden hose or something in here and refill the bottom pond with water so that we have enough water to fill up the top pond again to where we need to be. All right, you kind of understand what's going on. All right, it's a real pain. All right, so yeah, so that's a real issue. Okay, now the other thing with this design that really starts to become a real pain is that the top pond, be it smaller or larger, always becomes the settlement chamber, so to speak, for all the sludge and sediment that makes its way through your filter system. So if you're pumping water from the bottom pond, you're pulling water from the bottom, you're pumping it up to the top pond, okay? That top pond is not being filtered so much because the sediment is gonna settle in that top pond. Sometimes a lot of it settles before it flows down to the bottom. Whatever flows down to the bottom can now go to the pump and end up going into the filter tank, okay, and being filtered. So we're filtering the bottom pond better than we're filtering the top pond. So having two filter systems in these ponds is probably the way to go, okay? Now, here's the other issue, okay? If we have two pumps, we can't regulate how much water is going off of the top down to the bottom, and if that bottom pump can pump enough water up to the top to supply the top pump, all right? It gets all kind of crazy, all right? So it's just a bad design all the way around. If you want to do this, okay, the best thing I can tell you to do, all right, and you know, unfortunately, we need two separate pond systems, okay? So that means, you know, two pumps, two filters, two completely separate ponds, basically. All right, but if you build it like that, we will definitely be more successful. All right, now, what we want to be able to do, we want this stream bed to go down, but we can't connect it. If we're running two separate systems, we need to keep our top pond, where it's the filter system and pump is running to the waterfall and recirculating that top pond only. Our stream bed needs to be separated, and our stream bed is going to be fed from the bottom pond. So we have a pump and filter system in the bottom pond that pumps up to the top of the stream bed and runs down. Now there's ways to kind of camouflage this division between the top pond and the stream bed that's running down to the bottom pond, okay? One way to do that is obviously you're gonna bring your top pond liner up here, okay? Bring your stream bed liner up here next to it so that they're divided and separate. And then what we can do is put our pipe work in the top to run our stream bed down and maybe put a bunch of rock and stuff over it, or put a little bridge over it, a bluestone walkway over it, anything like that. Like I've done bluestone walkways, and what's nice with that is now it appears that the stream is coming out from underneath the bluestone walkway on one side, and the pond on the other side is going underneath that bluestone. So our division is underneath the bluestone. Okay, kind of get it? I'll show you a picture here of another job I did, but you can see there's a large koi pond, there's a bluestone walkway, and the other side is a waterfall that goes down to a natural pond. I didn't want to pump the water from the natural pond up into the koi pond, and have it overflow the koi pond, right? I don't want my natural pond in front of the house going, dirty water going into my koi pond. So they're completely separate. Okay, so you get the idea, right? Keep them separate. You could make them look like they're connected when they're really not, all right? Great, so we'll wrap up. All right, thank you very much for watching. I know it was a long video. There's a bunch of different things I wanted to explain and show you guys. I hope it makes sense to you. You know, keep your pond designs simple, right? Creative, natural, right? But simple. Don't get too crazy with it, right? What does a natural pond look like, all right? It's usually a big open body of water, right? It's not some crazy thing with arms jutting out and all different legs in different directions, right? It's a nice big open body of water. Use your curves, give it character, make it look really nice. Just keep in mind we need circulation and water flow is the most important, okay? We don't want dead zones of water in our pond. We don't want to create dead ends for our fish to swim into, right? So, okay, thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging in there. Hit the like button if the video helped you out, and please subscribe to the channel if you're into koi ponds and stuff. I really do appreciate the support. I'm really looking to build the channel, and you know, thank you very much, and hopefully we will see you again in another video. So take care, thanks a lot, and have a great day. Bye.